every nigga around him is shooters and killers. He's fucking with gang members.
Yeah, the 6 ain't friendly.
Yo, all due respect, Yo Gotti, P, Rick Ross.
But look at it. You're at least happy that this still has.
Why did they keep this a secret? You have
This type of research without
Today, lot.
All right, so remember this guy?
First, you better stay with my name out his mouth. I get tired of hearing him, and I will make it so his mouth can't work.
Me becoming a free agent.
Right. Did you and Puff part on good terms, or?
Yeah, great terms.
Because you fulfilled everything.
What do you do?
Got one of the hottest DJs off of Hot 90.
So how did you end up meeting R. Kelly?
He came in the cell one day talking about it. Somebody had ran into R. Kelly and actually saw him, and he was talking about that. So I'm like, damn, so he really in here for real? He felt that he was locked up and going through it because he refused to do certain things.
Did he ever mention anything about him and Jay-Z's relationship, and was it affected by Aaliyah? Because I know that they both had dealings with Aaliyah.
Jay was definitely hating on him because around the time, R. Kelly was a lot bigger than Jay-Z.
What did you find out about P. Diddy from R. Kelly? So how did you end up in the feds anyway? What happened? How did you get there?
I got indicted for
I'm 5'10".
5'10".
Artery.
15, my pimp put me on an order to go to the Getty, Los Angeles, California Museum. I was told I was going to walk through a field trip. I was taken with another girl. I call a friend of mine, and we were put in dresses and sandals. We were taken in a sports car. We're not taken in a sports car. We pulled up to the museum in a sports car. We were told that we were trying to give a different appearance. So we were walking through, I remember walking through kids. I remember walking in and seeing school buses. I remember walking in and seeing children and chaperones through the museum. And I remember people staring at us as if we were somebody special. We walked through the museum. There are, employees that know exactly what's going on in the museum. They block the doors. They know where the entrances and exits are. They take their orders from someone else when someone is trying to get underground through the Getty Los Angeles Museum. I was walked through. I remember taking stairs, going through a garden, taking an elevator. I was drugged, but I was walking. There are many situations in trafficking where you can be alert. Some of my pimps did not let me see where I was going. Sometimes I was so drugged that I was carried into a job, dressed, and then placed in a room and waiting for my order because I couldn't move myself. So at this time, I was able to walk. I was able to see what was going on. And I remember walking through. I remember talking to certain people after we got so far. I remember my ears popping. I remember feeling like I'm choking because the air was so weird. We got to a certain point and there was, it looked like a basement. It looked like where they keep things that were not public display in the museum. And after getting so far, we were in tunnels. We were put on cars, drove to a certain point, bar. I seen cars, boats. There's trains, there's buses, there is every means of transportation under the ground. There's a city under the ground. There's a different air supply that kicks in after you get so low.
And who goes down there?
After getting down there, I talked to a few people. I was able to meet celebrities, actors. I'm not a person that knows somebody just by name or by face or right away. I was somebody who remembered somebody from a movie or something like that, or something that they did. I was able to speak with somebody that was so cocky, and I remember telling him, I know you from Look Who's Talking. That's all. And I remember everybody laughing at me because I was 15, and I'm like, the only thing that I know you from, John Travolta, is Look Who's Talking.
What's up, family? Check this video out.
Quick question. So, last night, I know you told me you was out with your girls or whatever.
Sam? Roth?
Where did y'all go?
Can anyone hear me? Got to find them.
Years. You know what's crazy? I was there yesterday.
Let's say you're a boxer. You're a boxer, right? And I tell you that you're going to have a big match in 10 years, right? And, you know, you fight every single day. You're sparring different people, you're beating them up, you're fucking them up, you're training all the time, etc., right? And then you know, you pretty much know all the tricks. You know about the jab, you know about certain hooks, you're able to evade punches, all this shit, right? This 10 years comes, and this fucking opponent comes in, right? And he's an opponent like everybody else. But for some odd reason, he fucking knocks you out. Whose fault is that? Why is it your fault? Oh. And on top of that, let me ask you this too. Hold on. Going back to you. This opponent that you have has fought way less fights than you and had way less experience than you. Whose fault is it that you lost the match?
I don't know what y'all talking about. What the fuck? I don't know what y'all talking about. I have no idea what boxing came in. Boxing threw me off completely. I know he's trying to answer my question.
When it got into the 2-to-1 ratio, now at some point, something happened where they had to install this extra box. It's a granite box that's inside the king's chamber. People were saying, oh, this is a sarcophagus. I can't even lay in that thing. My knees have to be bent. It's not a sarcophagus. What it is, based on the descriptions in the Bible. And it's been replicated at 2 different universities by 2 different groups of people, and it generated so much power they had to shut it down, just based on the biblical information and instructions. When you take those measurements, it fits directly inside that box. And why did it fit in the box? Because the pyramid at some point had lost its ability to generate the maximum amount of power. And so that was needed to add an extra piece to fix the problem. And that's exactly what they did. Then the energy would shoot up through the apex. The obelisks are all made of crystal granite.
What do you mean the obelisk? What is that?
Those giant stones that stand up with the points at the top?
Okay.
Those are obelisks.
Okay.
They're all around the region. We have one at the White House, right? You know, we have one in Rome in the center courtyard there. They took them and put them all around. The one in Washington is obviously it's man-made, but the other ones around the world are all come out of Egypt. But what's interesting is those obelisks, they capture the ambient electricity from the atmosphere. And then if you have something called a JED,
you can book a time. My show, hold on, I'll be right back. My show is not to give you exposure. If you want brand exposure, purchase advertising. Hello, how are you?
Hey, good. How are you?
Okay, how old are you?
I'm 20. I'm 30. 30 from Atlanta.
20 or you say you're 30 from Atlanta. All right.
Date men for money. Since you got so much negativity to say about women, how do you feel about women who date men or with men specifically for money? How do you feel about that? Do you feel like they're wise or they're
I don't understand the question. You want me to critique who?
Criticize women that are specific about men as far as money. How do you feel about that? Like, is it good?
I need you. I don't know if you. No offense, but I don't know if you've been drinking. Because I'm not.
No, I've been trying to join your live.
Okay, other people are saying the same thing, so I don't understand the question. You want me to critique women who do what?
who date men for money specifically. How do you feel
Why?
about that?
Why? Why? No, no.
Why?
No, that's
Because
not hold on. That's not a criticism. That's you wanted me to talk about a topic. I don't care if women date men for money. Anything else?
I'm waiting for your answer.
No, there is no answer to that, ma'am.
It's not. No critical.
No, ma'am. What I'm going to ask you something, okay? You're 30 years old, right?
30.
Okay. Do me a favor. Represent black women in a good way, just like you want me to represent black men. What you're doing right now is not really a good look. You don't look like you really give a damn. You smoking.
Actually, I do. That's why I'm here. I want to hear how you feel.
You don't
Because
look
you don't give a damn about women. You don't. You don't. You don't respect all women.
How don't I give a damn about women?
You don't. You're specific to a certain.
Explain.
You're specific.
No,
You're
see,
specific to
hold
a
on, you
certain.
can't overtalk me.
You're
The first thing you
Can I respond?
The first thing you can't do.
Are you gonna let me
is
respond, Kevin?
See, this is why I said the ground rules.
Can I respond?
You can calm down, and I'll give you a chance to respond. But the first ground rule is over talking. One, the audience can't hear. Two, it's disrespectful. I will let you exit stage left.
Can I respond?
I don't give a damn.
Let me know
about
when I can
women.
respond, Kevin.
Well, you say I don't give a damn about women. Based upon what?
Generally speaking, big women, strong women, weak women, black, white. Overall, you have a certain specific crowd of women that you cater to. So with that being said, the women outside of big women, small, you're very generalized as far as women that you feel are worthy. So I'm just speaking for everybody, generally.
Well, you're not speaking for everybody. You're speaking for yourself, cause
I'm not.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I'm waiting for you to ask how big
First
I
off, see, this is what I mean. You can't have a respectful conversation with somebody who wants to overtalk. No, I have hundreds, thousands of women who love what I do.
Oh, that's true.
Yes, more women like me than dislike me.
That's true. I like you. Who said I don't like you?
Well, but how can women like me and I don't give a damn about them?
I don't know. I said generally speaking.
No,
but
generally means
that's why I'm here.
No. Generally means the majority. See, the majority of women like what I have to say.
So they appreciate it.
They like it and appreciate it.
So my question is,
you cannot overtalk me. You don't get 1 million followers here and 1 million followers there.
My page's private. I don't need followers.
Well, I don't. Again.
What is a woman?
That's a good question.
Biologically?
We'll start
tell
with
me.
you. Go ahead.
Uterus.
What is a woman?
Uterus, cool.
Uterus, hormones.
Are there other definitions of women that we should accept?
This is an important. This is
actually not a silly question. This is super
related.
important. It ties with the other one.
It ties in with feminism too.
Yeah.
Sure. That's the ground. That's the fundamental
question.
Importance.
Fundamental.
Yeah.
Important.
How about this way? Anybody can chime in. Can someone that doesn't have a uterus that has
should we just go around and
yeah, sure. Go.
What is a woman?
A woman is someone with a uterus. However, a uterus doesn't always define a woman because, for example, you can have your uterus surgically removed. You're not any less of a woman because of that.
Should we have them all answered?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And then if you want to respond, go ahead.
Yeah, I believe that a woman has a uterus,
So that would make me not a woman, in essence.
Here, let's let the girls answer. Go ahead.
No. You're asking if gender and sex are synonyms, and that's the big debate. If you think the word woman is a synonym for the word female, then you would say a woman has primary and secondary sexual characteristics. If you're saying the words woman and female are not synonyms, then you could include like trans people who call themselves women but don't have the first or primary or secondary characteristics. So that's the debate, right?
Anyone with a uterus.
Or have it.
I mean, biologically, it's someone that has
XX chromosomes.
Yes, someone with a uterus.
XX chromosomes.
I mean, yeah, I think there's men and women. There's not really anything in between. I think you need to be born with uterus, vagina, boobs.
Yes.
Everything.
Well, intersex is more common than red hair or green eyes.
It's not true, but that's okay. It's a
Is
good
it about
talking
1%,
point. It's
right?
not true. No,
It's
not
not?
even close. But it's a good talking point.
What is it then? Because it's not
like
zero.
It's like 0.001%. But it
they
is
exist.
more. It totally exists. Yes. No, I only pick on you for that
No,
because.
if I'm wrong about that, but they do exist. So we do have people that
100%,
are
yes.
that are not male, sort of, not female, sort of.
But it's a deformity, right?
Right,
So
but they're not
it's-
choosing to be trying to become.
Of course,
Yeah.
no, I'm
Trying to
not
become
talking
a
about
male.
something
So
else.
for example, if I was born without a leg, that's absent of being two-legged. It doesn't create a new category of something, right? So, and it only intersex is XXY. So they're either more female or more male. They're usually more female, but sometimes they cannot have both sex organs, aka they cannot impregnate themselves. So it's
hermaphrodite.
Yeah,
Right, yeah,
exactly. Let me ask it this way: does anyone believe that biological men can become a woman?
I think people can call themselves unicorns at this point in time if they want to. So if that's what they choose to say, that's what it is. But becoming a woman is a very, in short, no.
I'm not going to deny trans people as women.
Okay, so can I pause there? So if, as a woman, can womanhood then just be appropriated? Someone can then say, I am what you are.
No.
You said you're not going to deny trans women.
Yeah.
So Dylan Mulvaney,
Mhm.
who's a biological man who thinks he's a preteen woman, is he a woman?
I feel like I'm just not in the position to tell him he's not a woman. If he says, if they say that they are a woman, I have no, you know what I mean? I'm not going to be like, are you a woman? Are you a man? That's nothing to do with me, honestly.
Got it. So if I'm 30, if I said I was 12, would you acknowledge that?
Yes, I would.
You would? Okay.
I would acknowledge it as dumb.
It's dumb. So why is it dumb for age? But I guess your answer previously.
Yeah. Mhm.
But why is it with sex or gender, we kind of get really cautious in saying, well, I'm not going to deny it. But if I said I was a wolf, you would laugh at me. If I said I was a giraffe, you'd laugh at me. But with sex and gender, we're like, oh, you could be whatever you want.
Because I don't know, honestly, I've been looking at it from different perspectives ever since that issue kind of came up. Because I'm also, like I said, religious and also believe in the Bible. So it's like really conflicting, you know? But I feel like I heard this one thing on it where it was saying that it's almost like, again, I'm not saying this is my concrete belief, but I just heard this, which kind of made me think a little bit more about it. And they were saying how it's kind of like a mental illness. Like, you know how someone could be 30 and they could truly believe they're 12. Like, those people really exist. It's a mental illness.
Yes.
Those people exist. You don't deny them that they exist. You don't tell them, yeah, you're 30. Like, what are you doing with your life? Like, you acknowledge that it's a mental illness and you treat the person as such.
Great point. So if somebody, you're in healthcare,
Mhm.
came to you and they said, I'm anorexic, so I think I'm fat.
Mhm.
And they said, I want liposuction,
Mhm.
which means the forcible removal of fat. Should you give them that surgery?
Of course not, because that would be compromising their actual health.
Hold on. But you just said that we have to affirm somebody's mental illness.
Mhm.
They want liposuction. Why shouldn't they get it?
No, I didn't mean affirm their mental illness as in accept, oh, you are 12. I'm saying we shouldn't treat them as in, you shouldn't go up to the 12, the 30.
The 30-year-old who thinks he's 12, which is a thing.
And you shouldn't, because like that's how people talk to trans people, right? They'll go up to them and be like, ha ha, you think you're a woman. Treat them with that disrespect and all that disdain. Whereas if you see the 30-year-old who's a 12-year-old, you don't go up to them telling them that they're 30. You accept that they have a mental illness.
Of course.
And you
So
know what I mean?
let's apply it to the trans thing, the 30-year-old, 12-year-old, and the liposuction thing. Wouldn't it make more sense to treat the person and say, you're not what you think you are, rather than affirming the lie that they think there's something else? Because in the liposuction example, anorexia, you'd be like, no way would we give you forcible removal of fat if you're anorexic.
But they'll just go to the next doctor who will.
Will they? A doctor will not, under current medical procedure, give liposuction to anorexia
In America.
patient. Correct. But in trans care, a 14-year-old can get their breast removed if they think they're another sex, if they think it.
See, and that's where like it's really complicated because it's like if it is a mental illness and if that, I'm not saying I 100% can't believe this, but if that's the case, then there should be a line of marker because it's like you shouldn't let someone who wants to mutilate their genitalia before their brains even develop.
I totally agree.
Do that if it is a mental illness and it is something that's heavily messing up their brain. 'Cause what if
You're onto something.
know?
So the question is, when it comes to trans people, why don't we treat their brain instead of their body?
See, I feel like, yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I can't really argue against it. I also, even though I accept trans people and I do believe that trans women exist, I'm not going to deny them of.
I don't know. You're closer.
But
You're
if
just
my
saying that as a.
daughter-
I think you're saying that as a talking
But
point.
listen, but if my daughter, who is 10 years old, tells me, Mom, like I want, or actually let's make this easier. If it's my son that tells me, because that way he has a genitalia that could be cut off, right? If he tells me, Mom, I'm not a boy, I'm actually a woman, mutilate my genitalia, I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
But you just said.
But if they turned 18 and they asked me, Mom, will you consent to me doing this? Like, will you disown me as a child, or are you going to accept me as your child who's a woman? I would accept them as my
No,
child.
you're being consistent, and at least you acknowledge the adult-child distinction, which is super important. Which right now, just so we're clear, in California, as a 14-year-old, you can get your breast chopped off, hysterectomies, like insane, irreversible
Yeah,
damage.
I don't believe that should be the case.
It's great, and I think that's a bipartisan agreement. However, it gets back to the question of, and I don't even know if you believe it, but you're saying it, that you say trans people exist. Okay, they exist as human beings. The question is, are they objectively the thing they say they are?
I'm not one to answer that.
Fair enough. Does anybody have a comment on that?
We used to call it gender dysphoria, right?
Yeah, that's what it was in the DSM-3, DSM-4, and then the DSM-5, which is the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Psychiatric Care in the United States. But no, you've been intellectually honest on that. And I think it's not a silly question because I'm here with a panel of women. What it means to be a woman is a very serious thing, and it's a beautiful thing, but it shouldn't be trivialized for somebody that can just appropriate it, wear a dress and some makeup, and all of a sudden they enter the club of womanhood.
Sometimes frustrating what the most ardent ones think is womanhood, that it's just wearing pink and prancing around. Women are
But isn't
more
that an
than
insult to women?
It sometimes feels that way to me. Is like,
Do you
that's
think
what
it's
you
an
think a
insult?
woman is? Like, we fly planes and shoot guns. We do other stuff too.
Yes. But you're
and of course
complex,
the big one, motherhood.
complex beings made in the image of God.
Yeah, it's like
not,
some weird
Not
neat-
just a costume. It's not like dressing for Cinco de Mayo or something,
It
right?
feels like they're wrapping themselves up in cosplaying womanhood in a sometimes weird way.
Yeah, you brought up Dylan Mulvaney, and in his first videos, like the day one of womanhood, was like, well, I cried 4 times and like went into credit card debt, and it's like, is that what you think this is?
Yes, but they do because they think that again, I don't. Sorry if I'm interrupting, Brian, but I don't trivialize that some people that are trans are suffering. So the question is, how do you treat suffering people with the truth? So in a medical situation, if somebody comes in and you take their diagnosis, what they want, and you know that there's something better for them, then you should lose your license as a doctor. It doesn't matter what the patient wants. The doctor should be treating them towards, but the issue is that the new standard of care is no longer to try to bring somebody back into biological alignment of their birth. It's now to try to let them on whatever journey they might think they're on. And especially with youth, that's a dangerous trajectory.
I'm going to switch things up.
In general, you say he's too.
The legendary Bruce Lee said, "Be like water."
I don't really know what to believe. What I do know,
I don't care how beautiful you are. When I heard that interview, you're ugly.
Breaking news tonight: Diddy party, cocktail, cocaine, and horse trank. That's horse tranquilizer.
If his hustle is putting stuff in people's drink, he made a liquor. I mean, that's the illest in the world. That everybody was partying and you don't know what was in that drink.
Sean Carter is worse.
Most men provide better containment and positive ownership for the cars they own than the women in their lives.
Here is knowledge. You may eat of its fruits.
This is third grade stuff.
The don't bite the hand that feeds you. I'm for the loyalty. So
That one time Tracy had to let us know.
I'm a Brooklyn dude, man. Ain't nothing soft about me. Ain't nothing sweet about me, man. I just do comedy. I come from Tompkins Projects. Jay know me, Todd know me. Right across the street from Marcy. I had to hold it down. You got Marcy right here, you got Sumner right here, and we was in the middle holding it down on both sides. So Marcy come through. That's our time, Jay. They slopping all of them for Marcy. They come through. I knew Danny Dan, all of them. Ben, Killer Ben, K-Sar lived in my building. God bless the Jack. I know Glaze.
We're going to say human. So whether you call yourself Aboriginal.
Body snatchers.
Yes.
All right, come on. Major.
So me and our daughter, our 5-year-old daughter, went and got tested today.
Okay. Like Puff, he's used to having people do what he wants, and when they don't, then he's used to seeing them buried under the bus after.
That's where I come in, right? You save up your money, buy some tickets for your kids, and then they go to see their favorite player, and he's just resting. What's your take on that? But then I guess the players say they need a rest. I don't know. You hate it.
I asked one of my uncles, was it love that kept you married to my auntie?
This is the only way to ease my pain. I'm in pain. This is the only way to make it better. And
Now this man was beyond woke.
The reason education sucks is the same.
I heard, and remember, I was told at the time that if I disclosed this, that I would be killed. And I ended up putting it in the book anyway. The story was that this guy, they finally said, okay, we're going to bring you to the United Nations and share your message with the world. Let's get you on this flight. They bring him on this flight, and instead of bringing him to the United Nations, they shot him repeatedly, and then actually had some kind of meat grinder device, and basically like a bandsaw, I guess, and sawed up his body into a whole bunch of pieces, put him in these very like radioactive shielded containers, and then had all these fighter jets dock with the plane and fly his body parts to all corners of the world, where then these containers turned them into ash. And they thought that maybe this would defeat him, like that his body somehow, the tissue was necessary. So if they destroyed all the tissue in all these places across the world, maybe they could defeat him. Well, he then regenerated in their offices and was fully fine, fully intact. But the sad part is that he said, you guys so badly do not want me to be here that I am not going to be able to do any more. You're going to get what you want, but bear in mind that in the future, many others like me will be coming, and when they do, you will not be able to stop us.
See, I had a lot of respect for Angel Reese until I realized something. Let me explain.
You caught the scene. So why you got me on camera again?
Because you act like a cheater. If you gave a fuck for real, you would be like, damn, why you gotta do that instead of trying to clown me, nigga?
What do I do to act like a cheater?
Nigga, you always going out with these ass niggas that you, I don't know what homeboy you on the phone with, he's a ass nigga too. All you niggas be moving weird. You always acting funny with that phone. You always moving weird with me.
Oh, are you serious right now, bro?
Yes, bro.
We grown, bro. Why don't you just talk to me?
Cause niggas be lying.
Bro, you gonna pull out a whole camera crew on a nigga. Wait, I knew I wasn't tripping. Nigga, I'm thinking my life is in danger. You on some cheating shit, bro. What? Wait for this one.
Yo, it is so sad because you can literally have all the money in the world and everything you ever wanted.
Fellas, welcome back to the channel.
You never know who people is, man. That's why we got to be careful to entertain strangers, man. You know what I'm saying?
I think there's an aspect of it that clearly has to do with one's own morality.
because it's too easy to jump on that wagon if it's a disease or my brain's been hijacked.
But Robert wants to go in there, and they were talking about Clive Davis and all of that, and I was like, okay, great. They had an agenda.
Yeah.
Because remember, at the same time, they were calling me a wife beater and all of those things. And then I put out the video that broke me a little bit.
In a shocking revelation, Robert Downey Jr. claims that the music mogul Clive Davis forced him into betraying his former co-star, Terrence Howard.
I called him 27 times. And I'm like, and then leave a message. I'm calling his assistant. I'm like, I need the help I gave you. I didn't hear from him.
But why would a music industry legend be meddling in Hollywood business? The details are hazy, but the tension between the two actors after the Iron Man shakeup always seemed strange.
They wanted Clive Davis to play.
Or did Clive Davis use his powerful influence to manipulate Robert into backstabbing Terrence? Could blackmail or threats be behind this betrayal? Let's uncover the dark secrets that might have torn these stars apart.
But Robert wants to go in there, and they were talking about Clive Davis and all of that, and I was like, okay, great.
Robert Downey Jr. has finally lifted the veil on a Hollywood drama that has left fans and insiders alike buzzing for years. And it all goes back to one name no one saw coming, Clive Davis. Yes, Clive Davis, the iconic music mogul behind some of the biggest names in the music industry. So what does Clive Davis have to do with Terrence Howard's mysterious fall from grace in Hollywood? Let's rewind to the beginning, Iron Man 2008. Marvel was banking on the film's success to launch what would become one of the biggest franchises in cinematic history. Terrence Howard was right there at the start, playing James Rhodey Rhodes.
You know, I was doing Iron Man.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, you know, that gets taken away. We did a 3-picture deal with Marvel, a 3-picture deal, $4.5 million for the first one, $7.5 to $8 million for the second one, $12 million for the third. We signed it.
But when the sequel came around, Howard was gone, replaced by Don Cheadle. At the time, the official story was that it all boiled down to money. Howard himself confirmed that Marvel slashed his $8 million paycheck down to a measly $1 million, citing budget cuts.
We want Terrence, but we want to come back for $1 million instead of the $8 million that we had agreed to.
Howard fought back, his agent demanded justice, but Marvel wouldn't budge. They cast Cheadle, and that seemed to be the end of it.
And my agent had an emotional reaction to a business decision, and he said, F you, and hung up the phone.
But Robert Downey Jr. has just dropped a bombshell. The story is far murkier, and the real villain in this Hollywood tale may not have been Marvel Studios after all, but Clive Davis, a man who seemingly had no reason to meddle in the MCU. Robert Downey Jr. recently hinted that Terrence Howard's rapid decline in Hollywood after Iron Man had more to do with industry politics than any pay dispute. And shockingly, he pointed the finger at Clive Davis. Downey Jr. revealed that Davis had some serious influence behind the scenes and that his involvement may have been far more personal. Howard had a long-standing connection with Robert Downey Jr., having played a key role in helping him secure his iconic role as Tony Stark. Howard stood by RDJ when no one else in Hollywood would touch him due to his past troubles.
I love Robert. I love what he does. I loved him in Weird Science.
Terrence went to bat for Downey, ensuring his audition for Tony Stark was a success. Without Howard's backing, there's a good chance Downey wouldn't have become Iron Man at all. But then, in the middle of Howard's pay dispute, something changed, and suddenly, Downey was nowhere to be found. Calls went unanswered, texts were ignored. Howard tried to reach out to his former friend over 27 times, and every attempt was met with radio silence.
I'm calling Robert Downey Jr. I'm calling him.
In an emotional reflection, Howard recalled bumping into Downey Jr. years later at a wedding, only for RDJ to brush him off, saying, "Everything worked out for you."
That broke me a little bit.
But did it really? What could have caused such a rift between two men who had each other's backs from the beginning? Howard believes it was Clive Davis pulling the strings, and Robert Downey Jr. has all but confirmed it. At the time, Davis was positioning himself to break into the film industry and allegedly had his eye on partnerships that aligned with Marvel's growing cinematic empire. Insiders claim Davis wasn't just looking at Marvel from the sidelines, he was influencing key decisions. The relationship between Susan Downey, Robert's wife, and the industry power players could have given Davis just the leverage he needed to influence Robert's decisions.
They had an agenda.
Yeah.
Because remember, at the same time, they were calling me a wife beater and all of those things. And then I put out the video.
Terrence Howard was expendable, a pawn in a bigger game. And Robert? Robert may have been coerced into playing along with Davis's plans, despite his loyalty to his former co-star. Whether it was through blackmail, threats, or career promises, Clive had a way of making his agenda come to life, and the MCU was just another chessboard for him to manipulate. The deeper question is, why would Davis want Howard out of the MCU in the first place? Was it a matter of securing future opportunities for Don Cheadle, who had connections in the industry that benefited Davis? Or was it simply Davis flexing his power, showing that he could sway decisions at the highest levels of Hollywood? Whatever the reason, the outcome was clear. Howard was ousted, and Downey Jr., stuck between a rock and a hard place, had to betray the very man who had once saved his career. Terrence Howard's Hollywood career has been a roller coaster, at times soaring to great heights, and at other times crashing into controversy. From his Academy Award-nominated performance in Hustle and Flow to the starring role as Lucius Lyon in the hit show Empire, Howard has never shied away from the spotlight. But despite his undeniable talent, there's always been a shadow following him, his reputation for being difficult to work with.
They had to spin, he was terrible on set and all of these things, and went through all this stuff.
And now, Robert Downey Jr. has hinted that there may have been far more sinister forces at play, with none other than Clive Davis pulling the strings. Howard has since been branded as difficult, with multiple sources describing him as quick to anger and uncompromising when things don't go his way. An unnamed executive even told the New York Post that Howard's temper was notorious on set. But is this reputation a result of his passionate nature, or was it manufactured as part of a smear campaign orchestrated by powerful forces like Clive Davis? In a reflective interview with the New York Times, Howard shared an incident from his early career on The Cosby Show that might give us a glimpse into his strong-headed nature. At just 19 years old, Howard confronted Bill Cosby directly after learning that his small role had been cut from the show. He demanded dignity and respect, something that would cost him, as the casting agent refused to work with him again.
I had an opportunity to go and be on The Cosby Show, and I remember walking around it and watching Bill Cosby.
This pattern of defiance followed him throughout his career. Was it simply passion, or did Hollywood elites paint Howard as a troublemaker to keep him in line? Howard's frustrations with the industry didn't end there. Despite his monumental success on Empire and his roles in high-profile films like The Butler, Howard's name rarely comes up in the same breath as other Hollywood stars of his caliber. And now Robert Downey Jr.'s revelations suggest that Clive Davis may have played a much bigger role in this than anyone realized. Why would a music mogul like Davis want to push Howard out of the MCU? Some speculate that it was all about power. Davis, with his vast influence, wanted to show that he could control not just the music industry, but Hollywood as well. It's no secret that Davis had ambitions beyond music. His ability to manipulate the careers of some of the biggest stars, like Howard, may have been part of a grander scheme to extend his reach into cinema.
They wanted Clive Davis to play.
But all of this at what cost? Howard's exit from Iron Man marked the beginning of years of controversy, and it's no coincidence that Robert Downey Jr. remained silent for so long. Only now, years later, has Downey begun hinting at the pressures he faced from Davis, pressures that led to his betrayal of Howard. On the other hand, Terrence Howard's departure from the MCU has long been shrouded in controversy, with whispers of pay disputes and professional tensions between him and Robert Downey Jr. at the center of the storm. Howard's brief tenure as James Rhodey Rhodes in the first Iron Man film was followed by his abrupt exit before Iron Man 2, leading to Don Cheadle stepping into the role. Many attributed this to a contractual dispute over pay, but Howard himself has pointed to a deeper betrayal, one involving not just Downey but powerful figures behind the scenes. In a 2015 interview with Rolling Stone, Howard directly blamed Downey for his exit from the MCU. According to Howard, a pay dispute over the Iron Man sequel combined with a lack of support from Downey Jr. led to his dismissal from the role and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And guess who got the millions I was supposed to get? Downey Jr. got the whole franchise, so I've actually given him $100 million, which ends up being a $100 million loss for me from me trying to look after somebody. He further revealed that, despite their friendship and his role in helping Downey secure the part of Tony Stark, when Howard's contract was renegotiated, Downey did not step in to support him.
I'm calling Robert Downey Jr. I'm calling him.
But this isn't just a story of financial fallout, as Robert hinted at an even more complex dynamic behind Howard's departure, implicating Clive Davis. Downey's comments suggest that Davis, a mogul with vast influence, may have played a role in pushing Howard out, using his power to manipulate key players within the entertainment industry. Howard's struggles on the Iron Man set were well documented. Reports from Entertainment Weekly describe tensions between Howard and director Jon Favreau, as well as dissatisfaction with Howard's performance, which led to reshoots. Howard was also, at the time, the highest paid actor in the film, a rare occurrence for a supporting role. This fueled speculation that Marvel Studios saw an opportunity to cut costs, with Don Cheadle ultimately replacing Howard in the sequels. However, Howard